Now we're talking about spirituality and trying to locate the intersect point between you and your spirituality, your life and your spirit. So we'll soldier on in that direction. So let's say in your life, for your life, there are three principal questions for you to ask and answer. The first is, who am I? The second is, who is God? And the third is, who are we together? Who are you and God together? Now, people think of spirituality as um, a religion, and a good religion serves spirituality and ensures that it can develop and grow and even flourish. What I would say to you is that your spirituality, you have your life and you have your everything, the elements of your life. And spirituality is something extra, an add-on, like an optional add-on. It's true, but you will bump into spirituality in moments in your life and where you're suddenly confounded by life and you have to ask very big questions. Everybody meets that person in the mirror at some point and says, what is the point of this? Is this all there is? Where is meaning in anything? There was a young man who went to school for artificial intelligence and got a good degree in it. At that time, it was important information to have or education, and got headhunted by an important, great, one of the top three companies in it, and bashed into a big job with a signing bonus and everything. And after 2 years in it, he said, it's soul destroying. I What I do has no meaning for me. And it has no meaning for the people I'm with. We're earning a paycheck, but he said, I'm not married. I don't have children. So I really don't care much about money. And this can't be all there is for me. And so he courageously walked off the job and pursued another course for himself. Those are some of the questions, some of the moments that I'm referring to when I say there will be moments where you meet the person in the mirror and you have to say, I wonder. Now, wondering is amazing. It's a very important pastime. Any kind of introspection, daydreaming, thinking about your life, thinking about your relationships. We talked about relationships to, money and work and people. Um, any of that introspection is crucially important for us, especially in these times. And that never changes for people, no matter what age they are. They used to say when I was a child in school, stop daydreaming, and they would hit you. Everybody was hitting kids in those days before they decided this is really a wrong thing to do. And we shouldn't be assaulting other people's children. And so they would jar you out of your daydreaming. My gosh, think about it. How important is dreaming? Dreaming about your life and what you want and, how you want it to be for you, what you want to do. Even just wondering, what is important to me? What really counts for me? So, who am I? Who is God? What do we look like together? Um, I will tell you this, and I don't think it will come as a news flash, but our greatest drive, if you will, in life is to love and be loved. And everybody wants this to some degree in some way. And there's this, sometimes there's this idea of, oh, it's not really cool to want to be loved and to love too much. What I would say about that is we're hardwired to love. We believe we're created in the image and likeness of God. And the best summary of religion, of God there ever was, is God is love. God is love. So if you're interested in spirituality or getting to know something about it or grabbing hold of it a little more tightly, if you simply remember God is love, you'll be actually in good shape to um, to go deeper, because when you say God is love all day long, you're going to look at opportunities where someone is being unloved, and maybe you can offer a little something in the line at the store, in traffic, certainly at work, and the most important place, with the people you're living with, your family members. God, God is love. Uh, I want to tell you something. There was a group of neuroscientists and scientists, and one of them is Helen Fisher, and she's a TED Talk, and they studied the brain experiencing romantic love. And people say romantic love is a form of madness and obsession, and that can be the way initially in some types of love. There's a million different types of love, and there are as many types of relationships between a man and a woman, or two people who love each other, as there are people. It's important not to think that your relationship should look like somebody else's or should be exactly the same as somebody else's. When you start to compare, you start to reduce the window of reality in your relationship. Like, it should be somewhat spontaneous. If you have someone who comes from a unique background, it's really unrepeatable. Every life is unrepeatable. It can't be the same because no two people are the same. So we get into trouble when the culture begins to aggressively dictate what romance looks like. I mean, how can it be? We're only taking a guess at the best of times, even in literature, which is probably a better way to look at it than through mediums like films and um, things like that. Because we run the risk of objectification, which is treating people like objects. So one unique person, another unique person, two separate life experiences come together, and you have a third thing, which is never coming again. So what Helen Fisher is a neuroscientist, and she and her team studied the effect of romantic love on people's brains and what was activated, what part. It actually stimulates a kind of a primitive part of the brain, but it floods the rest of the brain with dopamine. So, wow, that's amazing. There's a reason where people can be literally addicted to love. It's important for like college campuses and things because it's a very strong circumstance. And the same circumstance is happening when someone has just been broken up with. It stimulates this flood of dopamine. You might want to watch it, but this is the best part for me. I listened to it, and this is the end quote. Love is in us. It is deeply embedded in the brain. Our challenge is to understand each other. I found that to be phenomenally correct and absolutely under verbalized. When you're comparing your relationship to someone else's, what are you not doing? You're not getting to know the other person or seeking to understand them. There's a book called To Love and Be Loved. It's by a guy named Jim Toohey. Here's a copy of the book. If you haven't read it or seen it, I would advise you to give it a go. Here's why. You got a young man, I don't know when, back 1990s or 80s or something. And I mean, I did read the book. I just don't remember those details. And someone recommends, he's a lawyer, young lawyer. He's got really the world by the tail in a sense. And they recommended that he go see Mother Teresa in Calcutta because he was going somewhere on a trip in the region. So he does. I'm making this a really beautiful story. I'm butchering it, making it very short. But when he goes, he gets there and he said to himself, look, I thought to myself, if I'm being honest, maybe I'll get some good stories for happy hour. I mean, he would say he wasn't overly deep at that point. So when he got there, she was somewhere else and someone said, oh, go over to this other house and this is where she is. So he goes to another place and someone said to him, oh, okay, you're here. Go to bed, this bed number, and help with this patient. And apparently this patient was in pretty bad shape. This was a home for the dying in a poverty-stricken area. And what he couldn't get over about India was that there were so many people on sidewalks, laying around, in the sense of they were poor, coming from the United States at that time and where he was coming from in the United States. It was mind blowing to him. So he was thinking, the sooner I get out of here, the better. He was uncomfortable. He So they told him to go. So instead of meeting anyone, you're going to go tend to this patient. The patient had some maggots or something, issues like this. And he said, like, I didn't see myself doing this. This was not something I had any desire or interest in doing. He said, I was repelled by this poor person's condition. And what I would say, what I read there at that moment, he had a direct shocking encounter with who? Himself. The plight of the poverty stricken forced him to meet the person in the mirror and learn about him, learn something about himself. And when that happens for us, and it's coming for us, and it's a good thing, although it doesn't feel comfortable on a lot of days, you start to stretch and grow. Is that comfortable? No. Are you sure of yourself? Nope. You become suddenly, it's almost like a psychological vertigo. You're thinking, who am I? What is this? What's going on for me? And who am I in relation to that? Now, he went on to work closely with Mother Teresa and work in the AIDS homes and work with the dying and got very comfortable with it. And you see it in him. You can see it in him. His book is a wonderful read of the journey that we each must take to learn about ourselves. So, but like I said, he freely admits he couldn't get out of there fast enough, and he's good to admit that's who I was. He's not afraid to say that's the guy I was then. And of course, the journey began. My friends, what he went from is the persona that he used to get through life to the real person, who he was inside the persona. Now, what is a persona? This is important for you. The persona is the aspect of someone's character that is perceived by others. Your persona is what you show the world. And a lot of times it could be, am I saying it's false? Yes, I am. I'm saying it's partially false because it's not going deeply. We all have to have a persona when you go to the store. I mean, you shouldn't be telling people your most interior secrets. That would be inappropriate and make people uncomfortable. So you do need a persona, but it is what the people see about you. No problem. I'm sure that the author of that book had a persona, and that when he encountered the plight, the grittiness, the raw condition of the people, it, in a sense, it blasted right through his persona. You've had moments like this, and you've seen it in other people, haven't you? When suddenly they're like, I actually don't know what's happening here. And all persona's gone. And these are fun moments, really, I think, because you see it through to a person. Okay. Let's just say you're looking for a relationship, or you're open to a relationship with another person. Let's call it a romantic relationship. And you have this persona, and that's what you greet people with, your external elements of your character. Okay. When there's a fear that if people knew you, they wouldn't like you. And that's why we conceal behind our persona. My friends, this is where spirituality comes in. You don't have to show everyone who you really are, but you have to know. You have to know who you really are. This journey is yours to take. Spirituality supercharges it. It's like doing a burn. It's never more important to be yourself than when you're looking to be in a relationship with someone else. Because if you only show someone a persona, first of all, it's kind of shallow, and they can't really fall in love with you because they don't know you. Secondly, people can fall in love with a persona, someone they think is you, and maybe that seems to be enough for them. But then when the demands of intimacy become more intense, people tend to get the real person obviously more. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, you weren't like this before, in a marriage. But the funny part is they were probably like this before, only they concealed that part of themselves. Um, a persona is inevitable, but be yourself when you're seeking a relationship. Uh, the other thing I want to say, which is it's understandable how we've gotten to this, but a romantic partner is not a fashion accessory. It's not, they're real people. And I can see in our kind of superficial culture that sometimes we treat people like things. Again, objectification of people, treating them like objects. And the problem with that is that no relationship can work if it's not a relationship. Maybe it could be a mutual using, or maybe you can abduct someone and control their mind and try to force them to be someone you want them to be. But that's no good. That's not healthy. Don't bring kids into that. That's not what you want. You want a real relationship, which means that the most important thing for you to do is start your personal journey so that you can find someone so that you know who you are, and then you can show that, and then someone can fall for that. And a lot of people are kind of fed up with the manufactured personas, and they're seeking something better, something real, um, something that will hold water, that will handle troubles in life. And that's, you don't always have to know what somebody's going to say or do. It's a lot of fun, actually, when you don't. You're learning about the other person. And say a conversation starts, and that's what you want. You want to start. Okay, within 10 minutes, you should know maybe 4 things about that person. You should be curious about them. You should ask some questions about themselves. Oh, do you come from a big family or a small family? Where are you from? Oh, something, I mean, you should know after 10 minutes. If you don't know maybe 4 things about that person, potentially you're not doing it right. Like, why am I saying that? I'm not trying to be unkind here. I'm not unkind, but I'm saying there has to be curiosity about people. If you're dating someone and you don't have any curiosity about them, you just want them to do what you want them to do, break up. Let the person go, because it's not good for you. You're using someone potentially, and people are the best indicator of the image and likeness of God in their ability to love and their craving of this love, craving to love others, craving to be loved. So you have to wonder about them. It's like it's a blast getting to know someone. Be curious about the life experience of another person. And if you meet someone and you're asking them questions about themselves, and they'll be enjoying the conversation because someone is wondering about them. It's like a gift. The other gift is, of course, eye contact, which can be difficult, but practice. And if you have trouble with eye contact, don't panic. Just look right here. And I know that you're trying to make a connection with that other person. And if you're looking here someplace between their eyes because eye contact is hard for you, well, then they'll know that you're trying to make a connection with them. And that will be a good thing. I think people get embarrassed by the fact that they so badly want to find someone to love and to be loved by. And we shouldn't be. It's a human instinct. It's even hardwired into our brains. And in terms of Christianity, again, God is love. So there you go. Okay. All right. The thing about that persona, so people surround themselves with external signs of an identity. So those are the externals in your life. I'm from here. I went to this college. I have a red car. I'm, I don't know, different, the things that make you you. That's all part of you as well. But you need an identity. You need to know who you are under the externals. Again, that's where spirituality comes in. Spirituality really is the only area of your life where you're really safe, where you're, let's say, unmolested, where someone else's opinions or thoughts don't have to come into play. It's like in the spirituality, in prayer, what I think of as prayer, which would be resting with yourself and a desire to know other, the invisible reality, what can't be seen, this invisible force of love that surrounds us all and draws us together, draws us together, brings us to higher thinking. In a sense, the beauty of the prayer or the spirit work is that you can lay your persona down at the door. You don't know, you don't have to be anybody. You don't have to be approved of. You don't have to have the elements of the externals. You put it all down. It's kind of beautiful. You set down the persona at the door, and for maybe the first time, you can feel your emptiness. A lot of us sometimes are busy, as they say, doing it. And yet, when we pause, we feel empty. It all feels like nothing. We're confounded by the meaninglessness in the elements of our days. When you have spirit, when you're doing spirit work, you have a place to go with that. You have a place to go with what's the point? What's the point of all this? Why bother? In your spiritual life, you are known. Somebody is wondering about you. You are seen. You are loved. You are esteemed. Someone wants the best for you. You can sit there silently and be unjudged with God. Powerful force of infinite love loves you. No persona needed. You're known and you're loved. There's nothing to hide, nothing to conceal. You can be yourself. This is kind of important too in prayer. I other than like self-loathing or self-hatred, one of the biggest things I noticed working with people to help them to pray was that they went into prayer with their persona. Now, it mightn't be the same persona as they used at the bar on the weekend, or in another place at school or at work or something like that, but they put on a prayer persona, and they would be like, oh God, this and that, and so a holy persona. And I thought, well, that's deeply troubling, because it's your one place to be yourself. You don't need a persona with God. God loves you just like you are. And, he'll take all that stuff and make sense out of it for you. People say, well, I have a mixed agenda, I want good, but I also want this. I want what's right in a relationship, but I also want these other things that are selfish. Yeah, right. That's it. We have mixed motives, and prayer is where you go to unmix your motives. Prayer is what helps you to see, okay, if you have all these motives, prayer lights up the ones that are selfish and directs you into the ones that are unselfish. Let's call it righteous, right? I'm not saying you shouldn't want things out of a relationship. We all definitely do. I mean, that's the point. But I'm saying you want to know where your motives are good, and you want to know where you're seeking to control. I've spoken to so many young people. A young married woman said to me the other day, she said, when I was dating, she said, I used to get like a confidence problem, or low, what would she call it? Oh man, insecure. She used to call it, she said it was insecure. And she said, I'd be like sending 100 texts. If you didn't respond, blah, 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 she kept going. Now, what's the guy thinking when he's getting like, he he puts his phone down. God forbid one of us puts our phone down and isn't available 24/7. And he picks it up and there's 16 text messages getting progressively madder and madder and madder. I remember someone did that to me one time, and the message I got was, "I'm beginning to feel ignored." I'm like, "I'm not even there. I haven't gotten out of bed and I'm offending someone." You know what I'm saying? But I love the way this young married woman freely admitted that her insecurity prompted her to, uh, like, in a sense, do things that damage the relationship. Because how does the guy feel when he's being text stalked? Not good, right? And to be able to say, that's me. I've sent a text. Now I wait for a reply. And let it go. Detach. Detach. Now you're sitting there. Let's say you're in prayer. You've put down that persona. You're being your real self, trying to figure out who that is. Don't worry if you say, I actually don't know who that is. You just say, God, I don't really know who I am. I'm unsure. Maybe you could help me learn about it. Sit, and be. Just sit and be. Let your thoughts come and don't be afraid of them. But intrusive thoughts will come, especially if you've been exposed to pornography. It's the craziest thing. You go to pray and then people say that these porn thoughts come into their head. Okay, whatever. They're in there and you've given yourself a place to rest. So thoughts like that come back. So just continue to put your mind back to where you want it. It's your mind. You get to choose where it goes. Although I understand that you may not feel that way and that your thoughts might race on you and that they might pop in and you say, what a freak I am. Why did I think that? Everyone's mind does a lot of the same things. Don't worry about it. But do direct your mind back where you want it to be. Maybe a helpful statement for you would be, when the thoughts come in like that, I'm a good person, created to do good things, and I make mistakes. Move on. Move on. The only one obsessed with your mistakes is you in the spirituality room, which is why it's so wonderful. Christ, God, the higher power, is not obsessed with your mistakes. God sees them coming. It's not that big of a drama. So you be free. When you're in a state of prayer, like if you're a competitive person and you say, I'm a good person, I'm created to do good things, and I make mistakes, I'm telling you, there's always going to be someone better than you at something. Almost. If they're not here yet, maybe they're coming. And there'll always be someone who's not quite as good at you at some things. Let go. Relinquish the competitiveness. Just let it go. You don't have to be anything but you. And you won't reach your full potential if you don't give yourself this freedom to be yourself and figure out who that is. The only one you're in competition with is yourself yesterday. Now, why is this good, this spirituality? Because there's greater peace and self-knowledge. You're going to present yourself. Your journey is your business. And it's like when you're in prayer, you get these lights about yourself and someone else. And you say to yourself, I wasn't my best there. I let myself down there, or I let myself be vulnerable there. And I don't need to do that again. This is why you're doing this. Those are good things, and they'll come, I promise you. When you start to figure yourself out, you stop allowing anyone to use you. You stop allowing anyone to take advantage of you. You don't want to be treated like an object. Did you ever feel like someone, like they pick you up when they want to, and then they discard you when they're bored? But then maybe they pick you up again later and then they put you down again. That's a terrible way to feel. A terrible way to be treated. And when you get to know yourself, you disallow that. And you don't want to do this to anyone else. It's not the right thing to do. So this self-awareness that you get from spirit is excellent for reducing objectification in your life, and in how someone's treating you and how you might do that to others. My friends, if you're in a relationship and you're always bored, or you're getting bored, well, maybe it's not the relationship for you. And as difficult as it can be to think about being by yourself, you have to be able to be by yourself before you can be in a relationship. Because a relationship isn't fusion, you're not being grafted onto another person. And like when someone does that to you, you're like, you're too close. You're too close and you won't give me space. And when you do that to someone, it's a sign that, again, that insecurity, or that you're using the relationship for the wrong purposes. Okay, why am I on so much about relationships? It's just where we seem to be going. If you're bored in a relationship, either you don't know yourself well enough yet, or there's no connection, there's no chemistry. The person's not for you. I mean, if you're used to high octane dramatic relationships, that's dysfunctional. To get that said, that's not healthy. But you shouldn't be so bored with a person that, that you're ticking the boxes and nothing further, and that you don't enjoy your time with them. Okay, you see what I'm saying here? You don't have to be in a relationship. Your life is full of opportunities and mystery. What might you do next? Who knows? See, this thought time, this daydreaming time, this prayer time, introspection is where you find all those ideas. I would hate to see you miss that. You don't have to just go with the time schedule that the culture has put in front of you. As a matter of fact, if you do, you'll get to be later in your life and you'll say, what did I actually do that I liked? I think people do a lot of running around seeking in the world. I just want to travel. I just want to. Well, pray, spend time with yourself, and then you'll know what you really need instead of chasing nothings and failing to anchor. I just, for some reason, in my notes, I have sexual fidelity. So let's do it. Just the last word. Somebody remaining faithful to you sexually in a relationship is not a gift. It's not a favor. It's a given. It's a given. This idea of, well, we're in an open relationship. You're using each other. Or one person's in love and the other one's not. So take a hard look at that. Somebody being faithful to you sexually is just a given. That's you don't ask for that. It's either there or the relationship isn't what it should be. And fidelity is more than sex. Fidelity is about someone being faithful to you in their mind, in their thoughts, and about how they think about you, and about how they talk about you. Certainly about how they treat you, and how they behave around you. It's very important in a relationship that you feel that you are safe in their mind, that they wouldn't talk about you or do. You ever feel like you're not safe in somebody's mind, that in their mind they're doing weird stuff with their thoughts of you, because it's coming out. So if you're doing that in your mind about your beloved, they're noticing. I mean, at the very least, it's vibrational. They'll pick up on it. You have to be faithful to your partner. You too. So how do you hold your spouse or your other beloved in your mind? Are you disrespectful? Are you cynical? Sarcastic? Are they safe in your mind? Everyone wants to love and be loved. But I got to tell you, I see a lot of circumstances where people just aren't that good at it, in the sense that they don't think it includes policing their thinking around other. Nobody wants to be with someone who's thinking meanly or unkindly about them in their mind, or mocking them, making fun of them. Again, trust me, it's transmitted. You're not getting away with it. Again, intrusive thoughts, they come, they happen, and we police them. But if you should know that that's not good. Do you ever think a thought about someone else and you're like, get a grip? That's unkind, unfair, judgmental, cruel, mocking, ridiculing, sarcastic. Not for you. God is love. You have a hardwired brain desire to love and be loved. You will not be loved this way, and you won't love very well this way. Police your thinking. Oh, my friends, I think I would just tell you, you are entitled to love and you are entitled to be loved, but you've got to give what you want to receive. And you've got to be curious about the people around you, really curious about their life experience. Don't worry about being in a romantic relationship all the time. Worry about being friends with people, and you will find someone to love. Thanks.